Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. My name is Rose Joshua. Welcome back to Family and Finance. So, you can't talk about systemic poverty without talking about the JOB word, jobs. And I know that people will be wondering, have in the systemic poverty series, I went up to part 10 and didn't talk about jobs. So I know people will be wondering, what is she doing? How come she's talking about systemic poverty and not talking about jobs? So, and that's because jobs are complex and they're a very complex part of the topic. So what I decided to do was to remove the job part of systemic poverty into its own series. So today we're technically ending the systemic poverty series, ended at part 10 where we left it. We're going to start a new series called the Job Trap series. And in this series, right now I have I've planned for about 6 parts. We'll see where it ends. I know that with the systemic poverty, we originally planned for 7. We ended at 10. And so for the job trap, we'll see whether it's going to shift from 6 and see where it goes. So today, new series, welcome to the job trap. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So why do people keep their jobs? So the job conversation is a cyclical one. It's almost like we don't know where the beginning is and where the end is. So the topics just kind of roll into one another. So we're just gonna take it and go with the flow, so to say. So we'll start today by asking some questions, and then next part we'll start digging into some of the root causes, okay, of some of the root connections with the questions. So why do people keep their jobs? If you have a job, why do you keep it? Okay. So the main thrust of the series is really around identifying common mistakes that people make with respect to their jobs and challenging people to think outside the box. A lot of us are challenged with the fact that we only stay within the box. We can't think outside. We stay with, popular opinion, common opinion. We're not thinking for ourselves. So that's really part of the challenge that we have. So common mistakes, and then we'll offer some suggestions. So if you have a job, why do you have a job? Why do you even work? And it's not necessarily having a job. It's really about getting up in the morning to go do something. Why do we do that? Right? So why do you have a job? Why do you work? And really it's all about having money. Okay. We earn money we need money to live. We need money to pay our bills. We need money to feed or fund our lifestyle. We need money to fund our bucket list. We need money to fund our dreams. So money is the center. And so people would get up and trade their time for money. Okay, so that's the bottom line. All right. So in the midst of all that, apart from after dealing with surviving and paying our bills and living a good life, we also want to help others, take care of the community, um, stuff like that. Now, from the day a child is born, we're literally planning for the day he dies, even if it is 120 years down the road. From the day a child is born, the parents are already planning, oh, this one's going to be a medical doctor, this one's going to be a teacher, this one's going to be a policeman, whatever it is. And we already have their life charted. And from when they finish school, they're already building this nest egg. So it's quite an interesting life that we live, where we live to save for retirement, then we retire and then die. And then somewhere along the line, we gotta live a life somehow that, fulfills our dreams and our bucket list. Um, so a lot of people just work for that nest egg. And some people actually do enjoy what they do. We're going to talk about that later. So the very core of it is us saving and feeding our lifestyle. So in terms of lifestyle, people have different things that they want to do, apart from just living and surviving and putting a roof over your head. Some people have things like, travel, um, adrenaline activities like climbing a mountain, visiting special places. For me, one of them was visiting the Vatican City, which I did, setting up a scholarship foundation, building an orphanage, building a school, building a hospital. People have all kinds of things, especially with emotional connections. Like maybe I'd like to build a hospital in the name of my dad, stuff like that. So people do have that. So if you Google it, there's all kinds of bucket list items you will see on the internet. So the next question is, if you have a job, how long are you willing to keep your job? That's one level. How long do you need to keep your job? That's level two. And how long do you have to keep your job? So the last level of having to is out of compulsion. How long do you have to keep your job simply because you need the job to survive? Okay. And there's other questions that we're going to come down to in later parts in the series. Okay. So for now, how long are you willing to keep your job? Okay. And so the question you want to answer yourself is, on the day that you have all the money that you need to fund your bucket list, to live your life, your nest egg is ready at the targets that you wanted, what would you do? And most people will zip out of there. Okay. Most people will say, you know what? I'm done. I got my target. It's time to leave. And you zip out. And that's really what it would be. Some people will say, well, I'd like to go back because I love my job. And the question is, if you love your job so much and you go back after you don't need the money, are you going to work for free? And if the answer is no, then they don't really love the job so much. I'm just having fun with this topic already. I hope you guys would, ride along with me. All right. So the truth is, most people would leave once they have the money they need. And that is because most people don't like their jobs. So if you look at surveys that have been done around many countries, anywhere between 50% to 85% of people do not like their jobs. They don't like what they do. And 85% is a lot. It's very, very, very high. So if you're in a country where 85% of the people don't love their jobs, and there's a problem, it's a cry for help. 50% not so much, but 85 is quite high. So it's a big range of results. But what it tells us really is that more than half of the people do not like what they do. They don't like their jobs. Okay. And that's really important to put your finger on that and hold on to it. Are you one of them? Are you one of those half the people who don't love their jobs? So why do people hate their jobs? If you hate your job, why? What is your reason? Okay, so based on research, most people hate their jobs because they see it as a necessary evil, something they have to do just to make the money that they need to live. So it's a necessary evil. Some people look at it as modern day slavery. Okay, so we are the ones who kind of volunteer ourselves as the slaves. So we self-inflicted slavery, right? Because, if you say you don't want to be a slave, you won't, right? Anyway, some people hate the schedule. Some people don't like to, wake up at 6 o'clock just to start work at 9, depending on your commute, how long it takes you to get to work. Um, some people don't like the people they work with, their colleagues, and, boss and stuff like that. Some people don't like the environment. They live in they work in a toxic environment where people um, don't like each other. Okay. Some people don't like the organizational instability. And that's a good one because we see a lot of it these days where companies just wake up one morning and boom, 3,000 people lose their jobs. So that organizational instability can be very stressful. Okay. Office politics, some people don't like to play that. They don't like to kiss somebody's, what, just to move forward or get ahead. Um, some people don't like the actual work. Like it's not the environment, it's not the people, but it's just the work. They hate the actual work. It's monotonous, it's boring, or the fact that they're not able to be creative or they're not allowed to be creative. So there's all kinds of reasons that people have for not loving their jobs. Okay, what is yours? So think about it. What is your reason? What are your reasons? And so we basically circle back to the original. So if people hate their job so much, okay, what is keeping them there? So again, we're now talking in cycles. What is keeping them in their jobs when they hate it so much? So ask yourself, if you hate your job so much, if you hate your schedule, you feel like your income is so low, you're not happy, you hate the environment, maybe even some of the people, what is keeping you there? Day, day, days go by, weeks go by, months go by, year in, year out, and you're still there. Why? So you gotta ask yourself, what is keeping you in a place where you're slowly dying from stress? And I have seen people at work get so stressed out, they get sick, they die. Okay, because once you're stressed out, your body chemical system is imbalanced, inflammation comes in, depression, obesity, cancer, all kinds of things linked to stress. And most of the stress is from work. So if this thing is stressing you out so much, why are you there? So we need to really sit down and think, meditate, and come up with solutions, right? So why do you keep going to work even though you're sick? Why do you sacrifice your family for a job that you hate so much? A lot of people have lost their families, like gotten divorced because they were married to their job. Therefore, one spouse says, I'm out of here, stuff like that. A lot of things happen because of our work. People miss out on their children growing up. They miss out on events, Christmas. They miss out on recitals, school, games, soccer, basketball. They miss out on things that are really important to their family because of work. And it's work that they hate. So what's the point? So yeah, it's a very, very interesting phenomenon, this thing called a job. So, but we need to stop and think, all right? The biggest problem we have is when we're not thinking, when we allow other people to think for us, when we just go with the flow. So in this series, I just want to challenge us. The objective of the series really is to help us to know where we are, know where we want to go, and do something to get there. Okay. It's not an immediate thing, it's more of a long-term plan that you want to put together to move yourself forward. So here's an assignment for you already. I have an assignment for you in part 1. Assignment. Get a notebook, write. So on one page or more, in one section, write all the things you love or like about your job. Okay? On a new page, in another section, write all the things you hate about your job. If you want, you can tabulate it. Some people would actually use a spreadsheet and say, so your column A or column B, you put everything, one you love, one you hate, something like that. Then in another section, describe your ideal job. What are the characteristics of your ideal job? Now I have to warn you because no job is ideal, really. Like, you gotta be able to accept to compromise on some things. So you know what you like about your current job, you know what you hate, you know what your ideal is. So the question is, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Think. So, question for you. Part of your assignment, ask yourself, can I modify my current job to fit my ideal? What changes can I make in my current job to make it better for me? Or do you need to go out there to find a better fit? Ask yourself, be honest with yourself. Then ask yourself again, what additional skills do I need in order to climb into my ideal position? And those are the things that you need to work on, okay? It's not a hasty activity. Think it through, plan a timeline. It could take you weeks, it could take you months, it could take you years. It just depends on what it is you want to achieve. Take your time. Don't rush into anything. Now, don't go quit your job now. Please, I beg of you. Hold on to your job while you figure out what to do with yourself, okay? So plan a timeline, no matter how long it takes, and get yourself there. Work on your skills, work on the thing, you might need to take some courses, go back to school, whatever it is, to get into that ideal thing. Execute the timeline and be intentional, no emotions. Be intentional. Be very, very intentional. Know exactly what you're doing. It's not an emotional game, okay? And if you currently hate your job and you want to talk about it, connect with me. Let's brainstorm together. I'll help you take a look at your options and I'll provide you with some guidance, okay? Connect with me, Rose Joshua, 780-680-1334. And this is the end of part 1. Okay, watch out for part 2 where the conversation continues and really challenge yourself to do better than what you're doing now. If you have enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends and family and encourage them to subscribe as well. And so thank you so very much. Welcome to this job trap series. It's going to be a very interesting mind juggling conversation. And so I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for part 1. Look out for part 2. Have yourselves a very good rest of the day. God bless you. God bless our families. Bye now.